So I'd like to call to order the Town of Lake Placid Community Redevelopment Agency meeting. It's 5:31 p.m. on Monday, July 20th, 2026. At this time, I have the pleasure of introducing David Mullins from Lakeview Christian Church for the invocation. If everybody would please stand.
Will you pray with me? Almighty God, whom we serve, who has set all things in order, who has placed individuals in positions of authority to carry out your will and your justice, Lord, we invite you into this time. We ask that you will move in this gathering tonight, that you will guide and lead the decisions that are made here. Lord, that you would give wisdom to those who lead as well as those who discuss, that you would create opportunities for coming together on issues rather than dividing apart, so that all that we do here tonight might be to the glory of your kingdom and to the furtherance of this Lake Placid community. We ask all of this in the mighty and powerful name of Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen.
Amen. And at this time, I'd like to invite up John Murphy, who's petty third class 81 to 87, and he served in Ireland, Korea, and the Middle East. Mr. Murphy, if you would lead us with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for your service. Eva, would you please take the roll?
Mayor Charles?
Here.
Councilmember Royce?
Here.
Councilmember Hayes?
Here.
Councilmember Sapp?
Here.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Here. And just a reminder for those who may not realize, at the last town council meeting, we had two of the community members who had asked to step off of the CRA, and the decision was made to just hold those positions open till after the budget. So the CRA membership is intact, all 5 members. I'll now open it up to any public comments on non-agenda items for the CRA meeting.
Ken LeBlanc, 120 Yeshier Lane. So I just want to say, the reason I got off of the board was I can't talk to anybody on the board except for 1 hour every 2 months and say my few minutes as far as trying to influence, the revitalization of our downtown, utilizing CRA funds and stuff like that. So I felt that it would be better if I got off the board and I could talk to all you guys, in between and for longer time frames and discuss revitalization of our downtown. And one thing I wanted to throw out there, the Main Street program, I think we slightly considered it maybe a year ago or so, but the deadline to submit for it is 6 weeks from now. I think that it's probably a town council thing, not a CRA thing. But I think the town council should consider that as a possibility. I think the Main Street program is very helpful in trying to revitalize a historic downtown. It's got a framework where you bring people in to organize, to get groups together. I think one of the problems we had on the CRA was we didn't have enough town staff to work the money and spend money and stuff like that. And it's just, too much of a big thing to do with the staff that we have. But if you had a Main Street program, they would be able to help bring things to you, do the legwork, bring things to you, and then you guys can decide and vote on it, whether it be from the CRA or from the town council perspective of different projects. The Florida Main Street program has a whole organization. Many towns in Florida are part of the Main Street program, do great things with the help of the Main Street program, and I just think it's worthwhile for the town of Lake Placid to consider it. And like I said, 6 weeks from now is when the deadline is to submit your application, and then I think a month or two later they choose, because the state of Florida only allows a few people every year to join the organization, because I'm sure it's a process for them too. So anyways, I just want to throw that out there. I think September 1st is the deadline, if it's something you guys might want to consider.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 3, the consent agenda. The chair will take a motion approving the agenda.
Move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, have a second. Any comments from the dais? Out to the audience? Seeing none, bring it back. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes.
Thank you. No presentations or citizens on the agenda. Moving on to the action item, project review and update. And I think this is where Eva and the chief are going to tag team each other.
So we keep improving on our presentation, hopefully. So we added another sheet that kind of breaks you down all the financials, and then along with the project list itself. And if you have any questions, you can ask me, Alan, Rachel, Chief.
It was hard to hear what you were
Okay.
saying.
Yeah, I said you can ask any questions, Alan, and Chief, and Rachel, too.
So, Madam Mayor, would this be the appropriate time to make some comments on individual projects?
Absolutely. Kind of want to keep it fluid. And let me just give a quick update for the gazebo project. We have gone out with an RFP for the railing system, so that's in place. And then in the town council agenda, there will be a discussion on the exercise equipment. So as we've been talking about new benches for Devane Park and that, you know, we're really trying to nail down where will the exercise equipment go so we can determine where the benches go. There's 25 benches in the park today. Don't think that all of them need to be, they all need to be replaced, but maybe not 25, something less, and then picnic tables. So it's kind of waiting to hear where that's going to end up, so then we can continue on with the gazebo and the benches in the park. But go ahead, Deb.
If it's okay with you, Madam Mayor, on 4 or 5 of these projects, I just have a question and or a comment, and I'll go through them. The first one is the Dow Hall Irrigation Project, 2026-0-14. First, let me say I appreciate town staff or Mr. Kiefer for the notes. It makes it much easier to follow. I would hope that, I know that we've kind of put off the irrigation while we're figuring out what exactly to do at Bicentennial Park. I would suggest we still go forward and think we're going to need an irrigation well at some stage. And I hope staff will look into how do we go to a corner and what will a 2 or 3 inch well, we start thinking about how do we put the well and pump in and then adjust the actual sprinkler system later, or at least think about the options. Number 2.
Would it be fair to, maybe we can respond to some of them? That's the whole-
absolutely.
I mean, maybe we do that as we can respond to any. Alan, I know we've talked about the time, where the well's going to go with, future playground equipment. So that's kind of like the whole scheme of what goes in first, right? Do we put in the well, the irrigation, and then where will the equipment go? But why don't you go ahead and respond on the status of that?
That's exactly right. We were holding off because we were waiting to put a playground structure in place, and dependent on where that was, will determine the entire layout of the rest of the irrigation. As far as getting prices for having a well drilled, that's something we can look into. I wasn't sure if there was a well at the building, the 300 Dow Hall building, or if that had sprinklers off of city water. I'm not sure.
It's city water. At the water into the building is town water.
Right. I didn't know if that building itself had irrigation outside. Harry was always at that building. I haven't inspected it. If that one had a well, potentially we could tap into that. If it does not, we would need a well drilled.
So we can come back on that one pretty fast with a well, because a well can go anywhere. The sprinkler, the irrigation, then it'd be something different. So we'll take that one on.
And Madam Mayor, I understand, I I want us to move forward so that when we're ready to do stuff, then a well and maybe a pump and motor are already in place, and then it's a couple zones or so. My second one is we're going to talk about the building later tonight, and this may be affected, but I would think with no matter what scenario we have, whether or not we lease it to someone or we decide to do something, I think project 2026-017, the addition of a patio, we ought to just scrap that plan and not move forward there. There's no reason for the CRA to spend money. Again, just my opinion.
Well, we can talk about that because that's what this meeting's for. I mean,
Right.
we can have that quick discussion and we can even make motions to do that. Right, Eva?
Yes, I have it under the action agenda.
Yeah, and so this is under the action agenda. Any changes to this budget, we can have that discussion, we can have motions, and we can move forward, so.
Well, then in that case, to do it right, I'll make a motion that we discontinue project CRA-2026-017 Dell Hall patio for the reasons I stated. No matter what we end up doing, we should not be investing significant dollars into adding a patio at that property at this time.
Second.
So we have a motion, we have a second, and we have that pulled up on the screen. That's $20,000 that was allocated to that. Any other comments from the dais? Out to the audience? Bring it back.
Mayor, can I just ask one question?
Yes.
So that $20,000 that we're removing, we're putting it back into uncategorized, because this is part of the $597,000. So we just want to put it on hold until we reallocate it?
That would be my intention, yes. And if you need me to make that part of the motion, I'm sorry, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Or do you want to maybe put it into irrigation? So we keep it both at the Dell Hall property. Maybe we want to add it to the irrigation in case we need it there.
I'm happy to put it aside, and hopefully one day Alan will come back and he may say we need a few extra $1,000 to do the irrigation, and then we know we have it. But I just didn't want, and I don't presume that anyone would have moved forward with that. I just didn't want anyone to say, says we're supposed to build a patio, let's build a patio, and then we've spent money unnecessarily.
I would propose that we have a separate line item for unallocated money to cover if we have an overrun or something new comes up. For example, there's money that was left over from the Waldo Aliff paving. That could go into the same unallocated fund.
And I believe we have that today, right? We have a unallocated, it's a small amount.
So there was a line that said uncategorized,
yeah.
but that's not part of the budget. The budget was $597,000.
Okay.
You had moved $100,000 from Hillcrest, then we reallocated some of that to the stormwater, and then we reallocated, I forgot what the other one was, and we had $5,000 left from that $100,000, just sitting there, part of the budget. So it's not so much going to go into the uncategorized version. It's just going to sit there with no project at this point. You'll go through all this during the budget process too, and be able to reallocate those. CRAs are pretty stringent to make sure that we're following that we have projects to go with them. So.
It'd be nice to have a line item that we knew what was available that was unallocated.
Yeah, so we do, on the uncategorized, I had it on the report that this was not part of the budget, was $34,000. What you have in your budget on this sheet is $5,000 left from what you budgeted of $597,000. So you budgeted $597,000, but we had an uncategorized in our counting system that we now, so when we go through the budget process this time, it's going to get lined out in ADG, and so it'll be easier to do that.
Okay, I see it now. I see it now on whatever page that is, where you have remaining reserves, 34,000.
Yeah, so
So-
34,000 is part of, yeah.
Okay, so then this would just go to add on to that 34,000, and then the same thing with the Waldo Aliff
So if you want to
leftovers.
move it to the uncategorized, that's fine, and you can sit
But
there
let's
till you
stay
go
with
through
one
budget.
because Waldo Aliff, there's still some, I think, costs coming in for striping and that, so let's not assume that where it's at is completed.
Okay.
correct, Alan?
We've already paid for the striping.
Okay.
They weren't able to do it before. They are returning, I believe, next week.
Currently, they're actually scheduled for Friday, the 24th, to do the striping.
Friday the 24th. I had that rescheduled because that was the day of the Caladium Festival.
So we'll stay right now with the Dale Hall patio. And Councilmember Royce, this is one that when Harry first got some preliminary bids, it was like $40,000-$60,000. That's why it's just kind of been sitting there, because the original estimate was a lot low than some of the bids coming in. So
I just want to make sure we spend zero staff time dealing with a patio for that building at this stage.
Okay, so any other comments from the dais?
On this issue?
On this,
Okay.
yeah, we're going to take them one at a time.
Okay.
So we have a motion and we have a second.
Yes. You're good.
Out to the audience. Bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next item.
I'm just as a comment, I appreciate Mr. Kiefer's comments on 019 tree landscaping. That's something I'm assuming we're just holding off on until the irrigation issue's settled. That's fine. I want to make sure that my understanding, if we go down to the bottom of the next page, 2026-001 DT park benches, I think the CRA Board of Council gave the mayor the authority to, this talks about someone has to make some decisions about benches or what we're going to do. We gave the mayor the authority to solely pick that so we can move on, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that was the case.
Along with staff, yeah.
Okay.
Just one up, somebody had made the comment, well, let's do what Sebring did. So we called up to Sebring with all those nice white benches in the circle. Well, they took their old benches that were green and painted them white. So these benches are old, but they're $3,000 a piece. So, we're finding out how expensive a variety of benches are. But yes, that's in our hands, and that'll be the timing with where we're going with the exercise
Okay, I
equipment.
just want to make sure that you all could settle that. Okay. Then on project, I'm sorry, project 2026-009 DT streetscape, there was a question as to, buying light bulbs. And there's two options, and I would suggest that we authorize the expenditure of $1,455 for 17 bulbs. If that's the issue of whether we buy half of them or all of them, let's change all of them in that park and move forward. Just my comment. I don't know if we need a motion, but.
The problem with that is we can't buy light bulbs with CRA money. That would have to come out of town funds.
Okay, so that's just something we're going to have to put as an action item as a budget adjustment at a later meeting then. Okay, thank you. Then project 2026-003 John's Park lighting. I think Mr. Key, I think these are his words, but it was just some conjecture as to what we can or can't do there. I would suggest that my recollection is the Smoke family donated that property. It's going to be a park. Nothing you're talking about doing deletes or negates that purpose of that. And I think we need to move forward with doing the lighting, the things you suggested. Again, I think we want to move forward with that. So I'm just saying, if there was any confusion or you need authorization from us, let's don't waste any more time trying to do the history on it. Let's just move forward.
Yeah, let me just add to that. I did circle back and talk to Bert Harris, who is going to give me the file, but he basically said the same thing. It was donated as a park, keep it as a park. Anything we want to do park-related would certainly be fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
My next project is 2026-004 Park Street Sidewalk. Went down there and walked that area. I think we ought to, again, move forward with fixing or expanding the sidewalk system from North Main eastward towards the chamber. It looks like it'll be problematic from North Main westward towards the Historical Society. Perhaps the sidewalk in front of the Masonic Lodge could be either repaired or hopefully maybe made a foot or two wider, fixed. I think once we get to that alleyway, I think it's going to be impossible to put a sidewalk on either side of Park Street down there. I would suggest that our staff look into, do we just go out in the actual roadway and stripe or mark on the roadway that this is a pedestrian walkway, and we do the best we can there, but not attempt to build a sidewalk on a hill. In a conversation I've had with some folks today, they mentioned, matter of fact, we may even want to address the conditions on either side of Park with railings. But I think we need to, especially from North Main eastward, there's some sidewalks on the north side of the road that could be fixed or enhanced, and we could have that there. Just comments.
Actually, it must be that seat, because the person who sat there before had said the same thing, and I think we were going to do that is, you know, it's that last area, unfortunately, just before you hit the museum, that cars park there. And my comment was, why don't we just stripe it, no parking, and they use that as the walkway and then get into by the Masonic Lodge, the sidewalk. So that's something that
Perfect.
we'll just pick back up on, and we'll get that done.
My next thing is Stewart, 2026-06-06 Stewart Park Electrical. I think we've been working on some of those upgrades. I'll remind staff that many years ago, we talked about enhancing Stewart Avenue to the west of Stewart Park, and I would encourage, I would hope that staff would look into, you know, what it may take to string lighting over Stewart Avenue. I still believe that would be a great place to be able to close off Stewart Avenue for everything from food truck rallies to yard sales to Caladium festivals. And we make sure when we're doing our electrical upgrades that something would support going, and someone figuring out how many poles we have to put in to kind of have that overhead lighting, sort of like they've done up around the Sebring Circle now. So I just wanted to mention that to think about. And then I think my final one.
If I may comment on that one. The electrical upgrades have already been completed. If we want to go back and add lighting, that might have to be a separate project.
Okay, thank you. Then Taylor Park sidewalk. Again, I like the comments I assume by Mr. Kiefer, but I think we probably need to think long-term, a multi-year project of improving or replacing sidewalks in that neighborhood. There is no developer that we can go back to say, maintain it. I mean, it's our situation now, I think. And I would just think that Alan or others are just gonna have to figure out where can we put sidewalks that will remain in good shape and be functional, and where will people just cross them and park on them and almost immediately destroy them. And I hope we don't, you know, we're either going to have to take that into account when we engineer them or think about what we're doing, or we're going to have to avoid those spots if the residents there are going to park on them, drive over them on a daily basis and all that. But, I also agree on, so that was on 2026-010, on 2026-011, Taylor Park irrigation. Mr. Kiefer's recommending we move that to the different fund, or probably bicentennial park. And if we have to establish a few trees in there, we do so with water. So I would also, you know, be supportive of that kind of action. Thank you for getting Waldo Aloff done, and thank you for the time, Madam Mayor. Just wanted to comment on those projects.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you for the comments. Other discussion from the dais on those, or anything additional? Recognizing that what's not on here, when we go through the budget process, we'll also be able to, whether we dive into some more and make a decision, or other things that we want, you know, it's all going to be about, here's a list of things we want to get done. Now, how do we get the funding for those things?
And I understand there's been a myriad of very good reasons why we've kind of fallen behind, but since we expended less than 10% of the CRA's budget, as we go into the next fiscal year, I'm assuming we're going to, you know, we're then going to have $700,000 or $800,000 worth of projects, and so we need to move forward on several of them, you know. So.
That'll be a good problem to have, right? Okay. Again, thank you for the comments. Any comments out to the audience? Okay, seeing none, bring it back, and at this time, we'll just open it up to any other general comments from the CRA board members. Seeing none, back to the audience. Seeing none, bring it back. And at this, Eva, anything from you? We're all good? So at this point, I'll go ahead and close the CRA meeting. It's 5:56 p.m. This meeting is adjourned. And because we were able to do that pretty fast, no need for a break, we'll just move right on into the town council meeting. So it's 5:57 on July 20th. I will call to order the Town of Lake Placid Town Council meeting. We earlier had the invocation and the pledge, so we'll just move right into roll call. Eva, if you please take the roll.
Mayor Charles?
Here.
Councilmember Royce?
Here.
Councilmember Hayes?
Here.
Councilmember Sapp?
Here.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Here.
Thank you. At this time, I wanted to give a few updates on different activities, including preparing for the upcoming budget season. Later in this meeting, we will discuss the millage rate for the 2026-27 budget. Setting the millage rate tonight gives us the framework we need for our first town budget workshop, which is on July 30th. Second, this year, we're going to be moving to a new budget format. The goal is to make the process more efficient and more strategic. Instead of reviewing every single line item by every department, we'll begin with an executive-level summary built around key assumptions that affect all departments, such as salary adjustments, benefit insurance increases, utility cost changes, IT costs, town insurance, and other town-wide budget drivers. We'll also include headcount assumptions showing our current authorized positions and any proposed staffing changes for the coming year. This allows council to make decisions on the assumptions that shape the entire budget rather than spending time on individual line items that are influenced by these assumptions. Third, you'll see a budget presented at a gross level with administration shown as its own department. In past years, many administration costs were prorated across all departments, which makes it difficult to see the true cost of operations. This year, we'll keep administration at its full gross amount and show a single clear transfer line for the portion allocated to enterprise departments. This improves transparency and accountability for both council and staff. And last, capital projects will be shown in a separate capital section with funding sources clearly identified, whether capital reserves, grants, or pending applications such as FEMA, RIF, block grants, or recreation grants. Separating capital from operations also allows us to easily transfer this to the town's CIP program and the 10-year capital planning report, ensuring those documents are updated, approved, and submitted at the same time as the annual budget. Now I want to give a brief update on the communication to affected customers on water main breaks. Our review of the robocall system showed several issues, including hang-ups, unanswered calls, outdated contact information, calls going to property owners instead of tenants, and some technical delivery failures. We're addressing all of these areas. The review's given us a clear picture of what needs improvement, and our goal is accurate contact information for all water and sewer customers. The system also supports text messaging, and we're evaluating that option as an additional communication method going forward. I also want to give a brief update on our open positions. We currently have open positions in sanitation, meter reader, and code compliance. Not code compliance, is the utility, the compliance, what's the technical compliance?
It's just a compliance
The
position.
compliance position. It's in the waters and the utility area. The wastewater and the water, the compliance position. Those recruitments are underway. The position, and we have the position of the Senior Director of Public Utilities posted. This role oversees Allen and Brandon's area, roads, parks, sanitation, cemetery, water, and wastewater. Applications have been light so far, but we're continuing to keep that posting open until we have a strong candidate pool. In addition, the town administrator position remains open. Applications continue to come in, but at this time, we don't have a candidate pool strong enough to move forward into the interview phase. So that position will remain open while we continue recruiting and evaluating applicants. I want to acknowledge that our departmental directors and their staff have been outstanding, and because of their strength and professionalism, the town's operations remain fully covered. The chief is serving as interim town administrator, and between his support and the workload I'm able to take over, the town's responsibilities are being met. We'll continue to move through the recruitment process carefully to ensure we bring forward the right candidates for these key leadership roles. Additionally, I'm pleased to announce that the town has launched a summer intern program. We have 4 interns, 1 college and 3 high school students, each working 20 hours per week. They're gaining experience in several areas, including the town clerk's office, customer service, parks and recreation, accounting, meter reading, and we even have one helping here in the audio and video booth. Nicholas, you stand up, and the shy one out there in the corner. So he came in and he says, I can help here, and so there he is, and we thank you for that. Finally, a reminder that the Caladium Festival is this weekend. Public Works and our horticulture team have been extremely busy preparing the town for the thousands of visitors who will be here. I want to thank you for your hard work and dedication. This concludes my mayor update report, and we can move on to the next agenda item regarding the Town of Lake Placid 100-year anniversary. So I put this item on just to get a save the date on everybody's calendar. So June 6th, 2027, it's a Saturday, thank goodness, is our actual 100-year anniversary for the town. So I want everybody to put that as a save the date. That'll allow me to start reaching out to dignitaries to try to get, early on their calendar. I know quite a few months ago there was a small committee that started working on some things, and that kind of fell through the cracks. So I'll take lead in working with the Historical Society, the Chamber, when the new director is announced, and others on what type of activities we can do, not only for the actual celebration day of June 6th, that's Saturday. My idea, I'd like to start as early as like a Wednesday with a kickoff of events, and that we have different events that could take place. I've got a lot of ideas. I've been brainstorming with others. You're going to see some requests for some budget dollars, and then we'll work out for donations and that. So this is just a brief update to let you put that date on the calendar, and that we're going to be working on it, and we'll give periodic reports on it as we get more detailed information. Thank you. Now we'll move on to public comments on non-agenda items for the town council meeting. Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. And I'll take a motion for that.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other comments from the dais? Seeing none, out to the audience. Bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next up is public hearings, and we have 3, and this will be the first reading for all 3 of these. So since this is a public hearing, I would like to declare that this public hearing is now open. And I'll ask Dana to go ahead and take us through the text amendments.
Thank you very much. So we will go ahead and read the short title into the record. Mayor, would you mind if I do that, or would you like to do that?
I'll go ahead and read that in. Thank you.
Okay. Let me get to it here. And so it'll be this short title without the revisions line.
Right. Okay, so first we have ordinance number 2026-04, an ordinance of the Town of Lake Placid, Florida, amending Chapter 154, zoning, Article 4, district regulations, Section 154-18, providing for the addition of a new subsection related to the regulation of temporary shelter permits, providing for severability, inclusion in code, conflicts, and an effective date.
Thank you, Mayor. Dana Riddell, Town Planner for the record. So as mentioned, the text amendment that we have before us now is a result of Florida statute changes that require us to allow people to live in temporary shelters for up to 36 months after a state of emergency. We took a glance at Highlands County's regulations as they implemented this and several other jurisdictions, and we put our heads together, and we came up with something that we felt was a little bit more conducive to being able to actually meet the requirements of the application. So what you'll see, and we also work with the local planning agency, that the local planning agency did recommend changes, and their changes are here in red. Initially, we were asking for an inspection report at the time of application, but as you all know, when hurricanes hit, it's almost impossible to be able to produce some of those documents. So we moved that requirement down, that it's still a requirement to have that, but for the first 3 months, you have a certain amount of flexibility that we automatically have to issue you this permit because the state says we have to issue it, right? But we're going to give you some time to comply with some of the requirements of the permit. And after 3 months, you're either going to comply or you're going to show us proof why you can't comply. And then after that, we'll check in every 6 months to make sure that things are moving along, that a good faith effort and an earnest effort is truly being made to repair your home. And hopefully your house is finished within those 3 years. Otherwise, you will have to remove the travel trailer or whatever mechanism you use to live in as a temporary shelter. But tents are not allowed. So that highlighted the local planning agency's changes. I was going to scroll down and show you the clean version, but you have that in your packet. So I'm going to scroll up in the packet and show you the motions. I'm going to turn it back over to the mayor, and I would just ask that if you do make one of these motions, that you include first reading. So it would be move to approve ordinance 2026-04 upon first reading. That's missing from that language there.
Madam Mayor, move to approve ordinance 2026-04 on first reading with the revisions as provided by LPA.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Comments from the dais? Seeing none, out to the audience. Seeing none, bring it back. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes.
Motion passes, thank you. We'll move on to the next text amendment. If you can stroll that up, and I'll read that in for the record. The second ordinance is ordinance number 2026-05, an ordinance for the Town of Lake Placid, Florida, amending Chapter 152, Language and Definitions, Section 152-4, Definition of Terms, and Chapter 154, Zoning, Article 3, Supplemental Regulations, Section 154-16, providing for amendments relating to lot frontage and setback requirements on through lots and corner lots, providing for severability, inclusion in code, conflicts, and an effective date. And I'll turn it back over to Dana.
Thank you very much. Again, Dana Riddell, Town Planner for the record. I'm just looking over to see, we have someone in the audience who's actually experienced this issue, I'm not making this change for them, right? This is a long-standing issue, but it did come up earlier this year. And it comes up every time that I'm required to make a judgment on what the setbacks are on a corner lot. Essentially, there was a contradiction in the code where it says here for lot frontage that all yards of a lot adjacent to a street shall be considered frontage and yard shall be provided as required. So basically what that was saying was if you have a front yard setback requirement of 25 feet, if you were on a corner lot, it also would require a 25-foot setback. But then in this other section of the code, it specifically says that if you're on a corner lot, that you would have to do 20 feet for the rear portion of the lot within 50 feet of the rear lot line and at least 12 feet for the remainder of the lot to the front building line. And I think that's just completely difficult for any person to truly understand, any person who's actually looking to construct onto their home or build an addition or add an accessory structure or anything of that nature. It makes it almost impossible for them to be able to truly understand what that means. If it's difficult for me, if it's difficult for you, it's difficult for the average person who's out there. So because the least restrictive setback in that initial regulation was 12 feet, I'm proposing to reduce the setback on a corner lot to 12 feet. I'm also proposing to offer a little flexibility when it comes to through lots when they're on an alleyway. If the alleyway is 15 feet or less, which you'll see a lot of this south of Interlake, we have these alleyways that aren't actually constructed, they're just paper alleyways, but they have to be treated like a street because technically they could be built to that, and that's what they're platted as. So when we were treating them as streets, when people wanted to put accessory structures there, they would have to meet a 25-foot setback as opposed to only meeting a 6 or 8-foot setback. So and I don't want this to be confusing, this does not give anyone the right to use the alley. It just gives them a right to put some structures a little bit closer to the alley than they initially would have been allowed under the previous code. So that essentially summarizes the amendments that I'm proposing for through lots / double lots and corner lots. I'm available for any questions, but at this time I'll turn it back over to the mayor. And I would ask the same thing, that if a motion is made, we would include upon first reading.
Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2026-05 on first reading as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any comments from the dais? I have a question.
Yes.
Where you mentioned the alleyway,
Yes.
is there going to be any problem in the future? Sometimes we vacate alleyways to make sure that the because today we're allowing that because there's an alleyway, but if there's a vacation in the future, so how do you handle that?
No, that just would offer additional flexibility in the future if an alleyway was vacated, because that property owner would receive, traditionally, unless there's another interpretation, they would receive half of that alleyway, so they would have more land than they initially started with.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Out to the audience, any questions? Please state your name and address for the record.
Ken LeBlanc, 120 Estuary Lane. Yeah, I ran into this exact problem, and I appreciate that you guys are dealing with it, because if you have a lot that's 50 or 60 foot wide, and you take on the side road 25 foot and the front road 25, well, that side road, you add 7.5 feet to that, now you're 32.5, take that off of 50, you only got 18 feet left to build a house, not even. So this fixes a problem that we have that definitely affects properties in the downtown. There's a lot of property downtown in that region that's not actually developed yet, so this problem is going to come up continuously in the future as those lots get developed. So I appreciate that you guys are solving this problem like this. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. And the third ordinance, 2026-06, if we can bring it up, and I'll go ahead and read that into the record. Ordinance number 2026-06, an ordinance of the Town of Lake Placid, Florida, amending Chapter 152, Language and Definitions, and Chapter 154, Zoning, Article 4, District Regulations, Section 154-18, providing for the addition of new subsections related to home occupations, providing for severability, inclusion in code, conflicts, and an effective date. And I'll turn it back over to Dana.
Thank you. Good evening again, Dana Riddell, Town Planner for the record. So what we're looking at is, again, another Florida statute change in preemption, and these are becoming very, very popular in legislation, that the state is taking control of a lot of things that we used to be able to be in full control of at the local level. But the state came in and they said, look, we're going to basically, essentially from everything that I'd seen, a lot of the home-based occupations had much more stringent requirements, like you could only do a home-based occupation if it was inside within 800 square feet of your home, and you couldn't have any additional parking and things like that. So when the state came in and created these preemptions, we just didn't have any teeth to enforce it. So when you have a code enforcement issue, you cite our local code. We couldn't cite state code or Florida statute as a violation of our code and implement that through code enforcement. So we mostly just took the language from the Florida statute and implemented it with some tweaks and some changes, very minor. But the local planning agency wanted to make sure that we weren't taking away rights that people already had to be able to park certain trucks, trailers, and vehicles. And those rights to park some of those things were already incorporated in Section 161-12. It's also important to note that with Senate Bill 180, we can't currently implement regulations that are stronger than our current code, but we can relax them or include Florida statute provisions. So with that, they just wanted to offer that additional layer of protection to say that we are not strengthening the code. We are making sure that everyone has the same rights that they had before, in addition to being able to run a home occupation. So with that, I'm available for any questions. I'll turn it back over to the mayor. And again, if you make a motion, I would ask that you include upon first reading.
Thank you, Dana. I'll entertain a motion, please.
No, I actually, if it's okay to ask a question.
Sure.
Mr. Dell, let me go to page 3, number 4E. 4E says the home-based business may not conduct retail transactions at a structure other than the residential dwelling. I'm assuming that means you can't have a different building there, but if I owned Ray's Gifts, I could still go to the Saturday market and do other business in my business other than at my home. This doesn't say I can only do business at my home. If I had Ray's Salon, I could go cut hair somewhere else other than just at my home, correct?
Yes, that's actually a really good question. That's exactly the intent of this. It's to say if you had Ray's Gifts, you could sell them inside your home so long as you met all the other requirements. You could use a shed out back to store some of your overflow merchandise. But when you actually make the sale, it needs to be in your home. But if you have like a traveling business or a mobile business, this would not pertain to that.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just want to make sure. Thank you.
I had a question on that very same line item. I was thinking of the place on Main Street that used to have the fruit stand next to the house.
Mm-hmm.
So according to this, that would not be allowed?
Actually, that property has a grandfathered zoning. Yeah, so it's been abandoned for over 180 days, and it already is not allowed.
Okay. And now I would hope this does not include lemonade stands.
They're
not really a structure. They're not a structure.
That's just exactly what I was going to bring up. How about lemonade stands?
Because I would hope not, because they're not really a structure.
I think code enforcement can use their judgment there.
Okay.
I think if someone did have a lemonade stand outside every single day, it might be a different story than kids putting one up on the weekend, but, yeah. So I'll go
Madam
back
Mayor, I
to-
make a motion that we approve ordinance 2026-06 on first reading as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any comments from the dais? Seeing none, out to the audience. Seeing none, bring it back. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Royce,
Yes.
Councilmember Sapp,
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, I'm going to close the public hearings on these items. And I would like to make a comment to Dana, and then also up here, Mike Durham is on vacation, and we have Kara Groves with us. And Kara and Dana have been working close on not just these text amendments, but there's going to be a series coming forward of different text amendments that they're working on so that we can just clean up our code. So I appreciate the work that you've done. Okay, moving on to the action items is the first is the consideration of the proposed 2026-27 millage rate. And I'll go ahead and turn that over to Eva.
So council, I sent out the breakdown of the proposed, we just gave some examples of different millage rates. In the packet, you saw that the laws have changed and our rollback rate is now set a threshold on who has to vote. You have to have unanimous if you're going to go any higher than the rollback rate, which at this year is 2.8377. And I gave you within the packet what those thresholds would be on each millage rate example that we presented. If you have any questions.
So, Madam Mayor, thank you, staff, for the chart. That's very, very helpful. My initial thought process is that we, for the purposes of publishing a number, that we utilize 3.3, but I understand there's been a lot of discussion around 3.5, and so I'm very interested to hear what the mayor or Eva or Rachel, I think those are the two realistic options, or somewhere in between 3.3 and 3.5. 3.3 would be just less than a 10% reduction in the millage rate. The difference 3.3 and 3.5 is basically 75 grand in tax revenue. So I guess I'd be interested to hear from staff whether or not garnering that extra 75,000 is important, and whether we should publish a rate of 3.5 and then hope to go down during our budget discussions.
Yeah, I was going to remind you that if you set it a little higher, you can always come down.
Right.
You just can't go up.
I would like to see us set it a little higher, to set it at 3.5, just for that reason. I think that quite possibly 3.3 would be enough, but if we set it at 3.3 and then we find it's not enough, then we're toast. So I'd like to see us set it at 3.5 so we have that opportunity, and then hopefully we will come back off it after we finish the budgeting process.
And looking at, if you take the current revenue, and inflation was between 2.7 and 2.8%, is projected at 2.7 to 2.8. So if we went to the 3.3 and added, actually working backwards, the 2.7% out we had would put us at the 3.3. But just being cautious, because we have a lot of things coming up. We have air conditioners that are ready to fail. We haven't gone through the whole budget. I would like to, just out of an abundance of caution, put it at the full 3.65 and work it back.
I agree. I move that we set the fiscal year 2026-2027 millage rate of 3.65 mils to initiate the budget process in the truth and millage process.
Okay. Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. And you had asked staff and myself for some comments, so I'll go ahead and make those. Taking into account everything that you've said is, our plan is going to, and we're working on that budget, right? We're missing capitalizable maintenance on a lot of things that we're going to have to build up some reserves. But however we end up, we're going to come back with a couple budgets for you. We're going to say, okay, if it's a 3.65, which is the motion, we're going to come back at 3.65. We'll probably come back something less, and we're going to make decisions of, okay, these are the things, right, to either move on or to move off. And that's why I said there's going to be a different type of budget presentation, so that you'll see what those inflationary costs for insurances, for health care, you'll see what we're proposing for salary increases, and a lot of those are not really flexible because we're being controlled by somebody else. They're telling us what these costs are going to be, and then you'll see the series of things that we need to get done, and we'll be able to make those decisions of, do we stay at a 3.65? That's the motion on the table. Are we able to bring it down to a 3.5 or something else? So to your point, we can't go up. Whatever we decide today, we can't go up. But during the budget process that we approve, we can reduce it.
I want to make a note also, they're still way under what the other municipalities in the county are doing for different reasons. We don't support a fire department, which is very expensive. We don't have a resource officer in the schools, which is also expensive. But a more recent example of having a little extra in there is the garbage truck. It's $25,000 to $30,000, just like that. And everyone's wondering where it's going to come from. And we have to keep this equipment going if we're going to keep it. So we can't handicap ourselves. And we'll discuss all this later.
But on any of the enterprise, it wouldn't be from this fund. They have to stand alone. So those are the things we're going to be bringing back is rate changes for sanitation, right?
Sure, it's utilities.
Same thing with utilities. So the cemetery, the water, the wastewater, and the sanitation, those have to be standalone revenue that they generate. So that would be a whole different one. This would be based on, the operation costs and the capital and the inflation.
Way more than
Exactly.
we thought it was going to be. So we need to start high. Joy, I appreciate you making that comment.
So I picked the AC as an example. There are, 8 or 9 units in this 9 units in this building.
6 to go.
So, and they're all the same age. 2 failed unexpectedly, so I'm thinking the other ones are just who knows when.
So, Madam Mayor, if I might, I understand your all's thought process. I appreciate that. I think we owe it to our taxpayers to reduce the millage rate at least some bit. I can see that I'm not going to be able to count to 3 on 3.3, so 3.5 would be the number that I'd be supportive of. And that number produces basically $250,000 more than the rollback rate from last year. And so I just think we ought to be able to put together a budget with an additional $250,000 from last year. So if I vote no in a minute, it's just because I want us to take some action that forces us to lower the millage rate.
I think the other thing we need to keep in mind is, Eva, the Highlands County has increased the property values like 6.8%, so that's going to be additional revenue coming in.
6.67.
What is it?
It was 6.67 was the increase in the
Okay,
property value.
so that's just to let you know, that's going to be increase in revenue coming in too.
And I think the point you're making, Madam Mayor, is even with a reduction from 3.65 to 3.5, the average increase of property values will outpace any reduction we put in the millage rate. So we have to be honest with folks. We aren't going to lower their tax bill. We're just talking about lowering their taxable rate.
Right, the ad valorem that's going to
The
come to
millage
us.
rate. So I just wanted to explain why I'll vote no on Councilwoman Eberhardt's motion.
So we have a motion of 3.65 and a second. Any other comments from the council on that? Out to the audience, any comments? Sir, please state your name and address for the record.
Jack Comley, 607 Sunset Point Drive. I'm not an accountant, so I may be asking a dumb question here. But the the dollar amounts in the increase over rollback rate, is that the additional revenue that would be coming in based upon these different proposed millage rates?
Yes,
Okay.
based on last year.
Okay, but that doesn't include the 6.67%.
I believe it does.
That is in the calculation.
Oh, that is, okay. Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience? Seeing none, bring it back, and again, on this motion, it has to be unanimous to pass. Unanimous is the 4 council members. So clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
We're voting on 3.65, is that? I'll go with that, yes. Just to give us flexibility, yes.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes, to be a team player in this deal, but I hope it's not a signal that,
I can assure you it's not.
since we need a
Yes.
unanimous vote, I don't want to prolong it, but I hope we'll really work towards 3.5 or less. Thank you.
Is that the staff direction?
We have plenty of time to discuss this, and I don't see why we couldn't get it back even closer to where it is right now, but we need to have some parameters to work with, and if we set ourselves handicapped at the start, we can't go anywhere or do anything, so we have plenty of time to discuss this.
Okay, motion passes, and we'll move on to, the next item is the Vane Park exercise equipment, and I think Bill Brantley's going to come up and give us an update on that. I think Jessica from Advent Health, is she here too? Oh, perfect, we haven't met. That's good that the Advent Health sponsors are also here.
We've talked on the phone, we haven't met in person yet.
Get to meet everybody tonight.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess you have it in your packet as far as the wellness trail. I guess it spells creation as far as the letters. It spells out as far as the 8 different stations. I think they decided to relocate the stations actually on the spokes themselves versus on the outer, instead of on the outer wheel. And I think all those will be close to lights. I think it was kind of a point of going up the spokes to make sure they're close to all the lights. I think if you want to speak, I know we're waiting as far as some other details on the equipment itself.
Of course. Thank you for having me. So this came to our board about 2 months ago. Justin Evans, administrator of Advent Health Lake Placid, had said the chamber was looking at potentially partnering with the city or the town of Lake Placid to do a walking trail. The foundation itself at Advent Health has one of these behind the hospital in Sebring. It's in the shape of a cancer ribbon. It's really beautiful if you haven't had the chance to go by there and look at that. And then in the back of the hospital there at Wauchula campus is also a really nice trail. And so when he brought this to the foundation board, they were really excited about potentially partnering with the town to make that happen. I believe this was already laid out in some format before we got pulled in. And so we really will just act as a funding facility for this. What we have put on all of our campuses is a Creation Life signage. So I had asked if you had any signage ordinances that you needed to adhere to before we would move forward with a board approval. So that's what we are here today to ask.
And Dana Riddell has already looked at the signs and has confirmed that there's no violation to any of our sign ordinances on the signs that you're proposing.
Very good.
Is there any questions from the council as far as on this?
So the exercise stations are going to be interior to the walk path around Devane Park, not on the outside, right?
Yes, ma'am. They would be set on the inset of the park.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be spaced as far as with the Chamber of Commerce, making sure it doesn't impede any of the festivals or any events that are there. We'll put them off to the side to where a lot of those spokes we use for access, getting cars and equipment and tents and stuff in and out. So we'll make sure that that's compatible with all the festivals also. One other thing as far as, obviously, since the CRA was earlier, With what we have now, we usually have anywhere from 4 to 8 to 10 cars parked on the south side of the circle. So obviously, parking is going to be kind of an issue. We're hoping people would use this. Obviously, it's going to increase the parking issue as far as that goes. I did speak to the engineering department for the county today. That is a county-maintained road. They will not allow any kind of backup parking onto, I guess it's West Interlake as far as that goes. The only way for that to be possible if the town actually took over maintenance of the road itself, then they could do consistent parking like they have on Interlake and Main as far as backing onto the road, but the county will not allow any backup parking on that road currently.
So what we had talked to, I think one of the prior meetings had talked about maybe paving a couple of those areas where people park today, right? And so they're saying no, only if we take over responsibility.
Correct. In their LDRs, they do not allow backup parking on any of their roads. Obviously, it's historical as far as in Lake Placid, Main Street, and Interlake, but the town would have to take it over to be able to do that. And especially if the dog park, obviously more people are going up there, we really need to look through as far as the future parking of that area. Mm-hmm. And they mentioned, well, can't they just park at the library and we'll just put no parking signs all around the whole circle? Well, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to see a bunch of no parking signs. So just something to think about.
What was their response? Can't they park at the library?
No, they could park at the library, but most people don't. It's easy, historically, they park right there. They pull up next to those picnic tables, and to get them not to park there would be multiple no parking signs on the right-of-way, which I think would detract from the circle itself.
Okay. Any comments on the exercise equipment from the dais? What I would just ask is work with Alan, because the pad that you're putting in is pretty sizable, right? It's like an 8-foot pad with 4 feet wing walls or something like that. So just work with Alan and his folks so we know exactly where they're going, where we might have sprinklers that might need to be relocated or impacted.
And we can work around the sprinklers as far as that goes. We won't try to, we can shift it one way or the other. So like I said, we'll have the sprinkler layout as far as make sure we don't hit those.
Will you be point on this, Bill?
I can be.
Okay. You got that, Alan. Chief, anything from your end? We're good? Okay. Any comments from the audience on this?
Ken LeBlanc, 120 S. Lane. I just want to say it's a really good idea. So I'm really glad they're doing this. I go to the park multiple times a week. There's a running club now that meets at the park and runs through town. And I think this is going to get phenomenally used. So I think it's a really good idea. So I'm really glad you guys are doing this. I really wish you could do the parking like Bill's talking about, because he's right. People park all around it. But he's also right. You can't put no parking signs there because, during the festivals and stuff, that's all our overflow parking. So I wish there was a solution to that. It's probably just going to be dead grass, But I wish we could do that. But anyways, I just think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Sir, if you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, Víctor Tavares, 135 Alderman Drive. I just have a question. Are we putting anything for like the children as well there, or just equipment?
In the park itself, so right now there is a joint use of the playground behind the basketball courts.
Mm-hmm.
That playground is open for the children. It's being used quite a bit when school isn't in session. So this park is not as much a children's playground, but more, a relaxation, a walking, and now the exercise equipment. Although there is a lot of discussion of having music in the park and some other activities to take advantage of that beautiful gazebo.
That would be great to have music. Absolutely, having music. Like, I know you mentioned something about Sebring Circle, but it would be nice to have music as well.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yep, thank you. And like you mentioned earlier, as far as Lake Placid Chamber of Commerce is having the Clayton Festival this weekend, obviously we're still looking for volunteers for the information booth. It would be fantastic to have council members there because obviously who knows more about Lake Placid. So if you would want to volunteer, we have several shifts that are available. They're 4-hour shifts or anything that you can do to help out, we'd appreciate it.
Perfect.
I will be there.
I know you'll be there.
I'll sign up.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And Jessica, thank you, and thank the Advent Hospital Foundation. Okay, moving on is, I think, Alan and Bill, I know you've delegated this one to Bert, but this is the FDOT landscaping project. So what's being passed out to us is the complete broad landscape plans. For the audience, we're going to pull up some subsections, so you'll be able to see that. Some of the areas at FDOT, and this is the median landscaping design plan from FDOT that Alan's going to take us through, and there's a couple areas that we don't agree with, so we need council's input and approval.
Alan Kiefer, Public Works Director, for the record. So as you know, FDOT has awarded us a grant in order to do the US 27 landscaping along the corridor, only in the medians, not the right-of-ways. They had proposed the overall scope of the plan to be just about to the hospital. That is beyond where we currently maintain. On that map, that would be the furthest north point is 21. Town Hall is at number 17. So that is our current limit for maintaining the right-of-way and median. They are proposing, well, I'm proposing that we reduce the scope not only to 17, but further up more towards 13. That would be Lakeview Road where Raceway is at. That's where our current limit is. That's where our irrigation goes up to. Anything beyond that point, heading north, the speed limit increases. I have concerns for safety for our employees being out in the median for an extended period of time. There's about two, if you want to go to the other sections, it's only really eliminating two areas with the foliage there. That would be just north in between Raceway and the railroad tracks. We would be eliminating that portion and then further up just north on the opposite side of the railroad tracks. Now, keep in mind, this would be something that we could always extend in a future project. We'll already have to go to a future project in order to do our right-of-ways. Let's see. The other thing is just being able to maintain everything that we have out there. Having enough employees and manpower to keep up with everything out there has been challenging, and if we extend it, it might, you know, it'll be even more that we'll have to either hire more employees or just try to manage our time.
Ellen, I don't think the median in that area from South Lakeview Road north is very wide, is it? Could it even sustain any vegetation in there?
It could. I don't know the exact measurements, but I know we have narrow ones throughout town, namely in front of, say, Publix and Wawa area. Those are very narrow. As long as a mower can fit on it, we can generally maintain it. But
no, we maintain the side of the road, right? It's just the
Yes.
median that you're
Yes.
concerned about.
yes, this would be the areas. I don't believe this would include any kind of curbing. This would just be eliminating the plants that they proposed and an extension of the irrigation. So anything, by reducing the scope of the project, that allows us to put more money towards the south end, towards, on the other map, it was number one, the starting point, it was be WW Lumber, or where South Main comes out to 27. So what we're trying to do is get some more the funding to go towards either plants or irrigation, the main line going all the way to the southern point instead of, say, starting at Wendy's area, Formosa.
So, Madam Mayor, let me, because I hate to disagree, Mr. Kiefer, but I want to make sure I understood what he just said. FDOT has appropriated a certain budget for median landscaping, have they committed to the town that if the town recommended cutting off at 13 or 14, that they would spend that same amount of money on 1 through 14 that they were planning on spending through 1 through 21?
A direct dollar amount was never discussed as far as committing to the exact amount. They just said that would allow us to put more funding towards the south end.
I mean, my understanding was, and I don't remember the exact, but there was a couple $1 million budget when the project was done to
1.7.
re-landscape. And I guess what I want to make sure that while FDOT is doing that, one of the themes of our community is having this enhanced landscaping, and I hate to forego the state's investment in additional landscaping, even if we aren't the ones that maintain it. And so if we have a current maintenance contract that determines we may only want to commit to maintaining a certain part, or we would say to the state of Florida, yes, we're now gonna, I'm making it up, but we're now gonna maintain another half a mile or 3/4 of a mile, our contract will need to be expanded, which would then allow us to get additional personnel. I just want to make sure that we aren't kind of taking the state of Florida off the hook for landscaping investment that they would normally have.
Let's break it down to, we maintain it, right? So this isn't them maintaining it, we maintain the whole medium.
By contract, but I mean, we have a contract with them to
We
maintain.
just renewed the contract.
We just renewed
for
it.
Another 5
Probably some
years.
things we should have looked in, like fuel increases and other, but it was just renewed.
But our maintenance contract specifies that we're maintaining from a certain location. And to me, this is kind of two different things. Number one, if their landscaping investment goes beyond the boundaries of what our maintenance agreement calls for, then just because they landscape it, I don't think our contract says we now have to maintain to the end of their landscaping.
The engineering team that originally created this probably did not know our maintenance boundaries.
My point still stands. The only way we should consider limiting it is if, in fact, the state of Florida said, I'm making up the number, but we're going to invest $1.5 million or $2 million in landscaping enhancements, and we're going to do it with whatever the recommended thing is. I just don't want them to cut back and say, hey, it's a great opportunity for us to take $500,000 of landscaping that would be conducive to making our area nicer as you're coming into our town, because all of this area is within the town limits. The town limits now sit well north of 21, so I hate to see us miss out. We don't have the capacity even that we had a few years ago with Keep Lake Placid Beautiful and other things to be making these kinds of investments. And so we have to take advantage of the opportunity that FDOT is making these investments on our behalf. So I'm just going to, I don't know what y'all are going to recommend, but I think we should, until we've had more conversation with them, we should continue to have the landscaping as far north as possible.
I'd like to add, I am in talks with them as far as the actual irrigation plan, because they haven't provided one yet. They intend to run reclaimed water the entire length of the main line. I am requesting that they have used at least 1, possibly 2 wells to break the system in half. That way we have like a default. If one system fails, we can revert to the well like we currently have now. My concern is if we go that distance, they may not be able to design the landscaping, the irrigation as we would like it, to have a backup system. And then we would have the irrigation main line. I don't know that you can keep pressure for essentially 2 miles.
But if I might, Madam Mayor, Alan, I'm not trying to be argumentative, but really that should be part of their engineering process to make sure that whatever landscaping they invest public funds in, too, is able to be irrigated, and whether they're using gray water or whether there's a need to put in irrigation well and facilities. I mean, that should be part of the plan that they put together to make their investment in the thing. And I guess, again, you're in a way making the point is that while the state of Florida, which has inconvenienced us now for several years, is investing in landscaping, let's get a full suite of landscaping done as far north as possible. And again, if it now means that, and I'm making up the number, if we've now increased the part we're asked to take care of by 20%, then we work towards amending the contract we have for them for maintaining the median. I mean, I presume we're already maintaining the side of the roads well north of the railroad trestle.
Up to Town Hall.
Right, and so, and I think to Ms. Hayes's point, in the area immediately under the trestle, there's going to be some area that maybe there's a little bit of grass, but for a ways there's not going to be any significant landscaping other than some grass. So I won't belabor it, but I'm not in favor of us recommending limiting it down to 13.
I notice how they're trying to, and I think it's a good thing, they're extending the left turn lanes as you go north on 27, the left turn on Lake June, and some of the other left turn lanes on the way up, which is limiting the amount and the width of the median in those areas. But I would like to see it, I'm sorry, Alan, but I would like to see it come at least to where the road is, the name's gone, to where we turn down for the cemetery, because that's just north of Town Hall, and I'd like to have it maintained in front of Town Hall anyway. You would think, in my big wish list, I'd like it to go all the way to the new proposed Hope We Get It traffic light at Advent Health, so at Amazon and Advent Health. But I think that might be a pipe dream there, but maybe.
I would just like to say again, we don't only just have one bite at this apple. They said if we want to come back with a second or even tertiary project in the future, it's always on the table. Again, I understand you're trying to get everything we can while we can, and that's quite all right. My main concern is just being in the middle of that long and having that much to take care of with our limited staff.
And the final thing, Madam Mayor, I'm concerned that we will have a hard time getting the state of Florida many years down the road to say, okay, let's come back and now invest another $500,000 in landscaping and irrigation. And this is the opportunity while this project is open. To Ms. Hayes' point, 21 is basically the point she described. That's where the new traffic light across from the intersection of the hospital. And I think that is kind of now, I mean, I know our town limits go much further north, but when you hit the hospital, you hit Amazon, you're now well within the town. And so I would rather you all renegotiate your maintenance contract with the state than us limiting it down to 13.
And yeah, exactly. Now, we don't have the staff to do all this, but then there's the alternative to contract out. Of course, you have to add it into the budget every year, but we don't have to use 100% town staff.
Right.
It's just additional costs either way, right? So you do town staff or you outsource it. Alan, was there any changes to the south end from where we are today? So they're going all the way to number 1. Is that where we have landscaping today?
I want to say there was about 8 or 10 trees being removed, the dead trees between 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think they're waiting for our comments to decide whether they should do more at the south end or if they're going to continue with their original plan.
So today, we have landscaping all the way to 1. I think what I heard you say is we go up to 13 today, but on the south end, we go all the way to 1?
Yes, 1 through 13 is what we currently have, and there's landscaping I would say the entire way with the exception of a few islands.
Okay, so Councilmember Royce, to your point is, yes, the state is recommending from 14 on to 21 for landscaping.
They're recommending what to do it?
Sorry,
Just
the
want to,
entire scope of the project is from 1 to 21.
but today, our landscaping goes on the south, on the north
Oh, I
end,
see
all
what
the
you're
way
saying.
to where?
13.
Basically one.
To 13. So they're adding on 14 through 21.
Oh, yes.
Is what? So they're adding on a significant portion. I know there's a couple, and your point is a good one. We'll go back and negotiate hard. Chief, did you have any comments regarding safety? I mean, because it does get narrow, right? So that's the trade-off of our employees sitting on a mower, with the traffic is just starting to hit, whether we like it or not, 65 and on, right? And so I know that there was concerns with the group on,
Maybe we have to use a different piece of equipment or purchase a different piece of equipment. It doesn't have such a wide range.
This would be maintaining plants, not just the grass. So
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Alan.
you'd be out there with, say, chainsaws, loppers, weed eaters. There's a lot that you can't just
Okay.
get another large piece of equipment for.
Yeah.
Ultimately, when we go further north, we'll need some larger tractors to maintain more of the middle without landscaping and the right-of-ways. But at least, I didn't count the total amount, probably at least 4 or 5 more islands that we would be adding to these trees that we would actually have to physically go out there and walk.
Well, I think we need more information to start with, but we can also subcontract that out, consider it once we figure out who's paying for what, and we work this out. It's just too early right now to make this decision, I think.
I'm happy to see that the South Palmetto is crossed out. Those are a beast.
Just to clarify, right now, we maintain up to 17, correct?
We maintain up to 17, but the landscaping in the middle stops around 13. It's just grass from that point on.
And again, the only concern I would have is the safety of our people out there at the increased speeds. That would put them in harm's way out there if they're out there for extended period times with the additional landscaping that's out there. And if I'm not mistaken, when we looked at the contract for the landscape agreement that we made with them was for us to maintain up to 17, correct?
17 and some decimal points, yes.
Yes, okay.
But I guess, and you guys know better than I didn't realize that the speed limit changed at 13 or 14 and went from 45 to 55. I thought it was 55.
It actually goes from 45 to 50, and then from 50 to 55 in there as well.
Okay.
There's 2 changes in there, increasing speeds, and you'll be up to 55 before you hit 17. Just from running traffic out there for as long as I did, the majority of the traffic is traveling between 65 and 70 miles an hour when it gets there. We pull people over there. We don't stop them unless they're more than 20 over most of the time.
Thank you for
because
that
there's so much
information.
going on there. But yeah.
Does the new traffic light tend to slow them down any at all? Thinking that it might be red
Yes,
when they come up
it
there?
slows them down and it breaks the packs up. So you have less cars coming through at any one given time. But like I said, it's still a concern with a person on a lawnmower versus a car. The car's going to win every time. That guy on the lawnmower is not going to survive.
Yeah.
So it's a real concern of mine.
So I think we've got the direction we need, and we'll continue to work with them, and when we have better information, then we'll bring it back with a decision with them on the final design.
They're waiting on our notes. They're trying to move it along as fast as possible because we're already behind the ball about 2 months on this. They have to have their plans in. I believe they need time to do it, but I want to say October, and the earliest they'd be starting, I heard, around March of next year.
Well, I would just suggest that this is something, Ms. Kiefer, that you and the chief and the mayor need to sit down with the appropriate people and make sure you understand what the options are. I hate, while the state of Florida is making transportation enhancements and doing things, I would hate for them to say, okay, this is the way to cut back the landscaping by $500,000 and not put additional landscaping, because that is sort of our motif for the town, is that additional landscaping that we have that other communities don't.
And we've got Keep Lake Placid Beautiful working with us, too.
Yeah, but they have no significant funds to, I mean, they do some stuff, but unless I'm wrong, Keep Lake Placid Beautiful doesn't have thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to invest.
And I don't want to be the one to say Lake Placid Beautiful has run its course. We were very active in the past, and thank goodness for the town, because we used to, before these festivals, we'd have tree parties. We'd have 10, 15 people out there. I'd call everyone I know, and we'd trim trees in Main Street, Interlake, and the Circle. We don't have to do that anymore. The town's doing a fantastic job. Now they have staff to do that, so we're just not quite as active. We're still going to keep Lake Placid beautiful in case there's grants that are available, but we don't really have the manpower or people to go out and do things. We can advise, but that's the reason I kind of palm things off on Bert. He's done this thing way more than I have.
Okay. Thanks, Alan and Chief. Next item, sit tight, Alan. It's a budget amendment for the sanitation department.
Shifting gears, I'm requesting a budget amendment in the amount of $26,845.81. These are necessary repairs to the #1 garbage truck, the braking system. These repairs are required to restore full compliance with the FDOT road safety standards. We took it for oil change and transmission, and to have the brakes checked, and the brakes were significantly worn due to the vehicle being over 12 years old.
You need 26,000?
26,000, yes.
I make a motion, we amend the sanitation budget by up to $26,000.
Sorry, it's 26,845.
I'm sorry, up to $27,000.
I'll second that, but is this in addition to what we discussed a couple of months ago? Is this a different truck than the transmission problem?
Different truck.
This is great.
Yeah, we have to do it.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other comments from the dais? Out to the audience? Seeing none, bring it back. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Next up is approval and acceptance of DEP agreement number NF-130, Town of Lake Placid Septic to Sewer. And this is sometimes called the 319 grant, for those in the loop truck that went over it. I think, Chief, do you have this one, or Rachel? Okay, please.
Okay, we applied for this grant. We have been before LPA on this already. They have recommended acceptance. This is a match grant, but our match is already made through staff time, so it really will not cost us any more than the time we've already attributed to it. This would help us with the septic to sewer conversions and would convert approximately 33 private parcels from septic tanks to central sewer, which would continue our septic to sewer conversion.
I move to approve and accept Florida DEP grant agreement number NF-130 for the Town of Lake Placid Septic to Sewer Project in the amount of $495,000. Dedicate the required $26,500 matching funds via project management salary allocations, and authorize the town's authorized representative to sign all related contract documents, amendments, and change orders.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other comments from the dais?
Yes, I have two things. First of all, it says that the owners will own the pumps. That has to be corrected because there was a resolution in September of 2023 where the town will own the grinder pumps, maintain them, and replace them if needed. So that has to be amended in the documents. And then the second thing is that it specifies it will be a grinder pump. At one of the recent LUPRAC meetings, utility meetings, I brought forth there's a better alternative. It's called a step system, where if the existing tank is good, you can retain the tank. So then instead of only 100 gallons of reserve, you have your full 1,000 gallons of reserve. I can hand out to you the advantages of the step system, but the conclusion at the LUPRAC meeting is that they were in favor of using a step system rather than a grinder pump. Let me just, if I can hand out these packets to you. Okay. The first one is that I did research, and it is acceptable for the 319 grant. At one time, it was thought they were not acceptable, and they are indeed acceptable. So I will pass down the line that documentation. Oh, all right, thank you. Okay, and then the second packet is that it's a comparison of, actually it's a comparison of the gravity system, the step system, and the E1 system for resiliency. And, we worry about hurricane power outages, but I'm also concerned about this era of cyber warfare, or maybe the whole grid going down for who knows when. So the next packet compares the three systems.
Can I jump in here? I'm afraid we're moving away from the actual grant
Actually,
to proposing something different.
No.
Because I understand this grant went to LUPRAC, and LUPRAC approved bringing it forward.
But LUPRAC also approved the step system. And I object to having this grant written to be only for grinder pumps and not allowing for the other system. So if the wording of the grant was changed to allow either a grinder or a step system. And the beauty of the step system is it saves money because you do not destroy your septic tank.
So where in the actual grant language is the requirement? And I guess that's where we're going to need to secure advice of the attorney on our ability to change a DEP standard language grant.
Okay. I can find the line item somewhere. Well, here, while I'm doing that, here is the third packet. Or excuse me, those are extras. Those are extras. Here's the third one. Let me find the wording.
Rachel, what's the date of this grant that needs to be signed? Is it time sensitive?
Okay, the first one.
So hang on, I just want to make sure it's not time sensitive?
When?
By what date? So it's been awarded, we need to determine to accept it. Okay. And there's no by this date or that award expires. Okay.
Okay. So on page 86 of the grant, it says specifically to abandon the septic systems. Let's see, where else was there? Page 87, abandon the septic systems in 2 places. Page 67, under budget narrative, it specifies an E1 grinder pump or similar. And that's also where it says that the pump station ownership will transfer to the property owner, which is incorrect.
So, Ms. Eberhardt, your point is you're in favor of accepting the grant conditioned on making a few acceptance changes that
Exactly.
our utility would be able to utilize these other systems.
Exactly. So it's a change on ownership and a change to allow the alternate system.
Okay, if I might ask a question, ma'am. So, I agree with you, wonderful. If DEP says, no, we have, this is our standard language, we're not changing any language, would you then be opposed to accepting the grant, or would your counter motion be, we accept the grant based on doing this? Our legal talks to them and says we want to change language in a couple of paragraphs, hopefully, and if they aren't willing to make those changes, then it comes back for us for further consideration. Is that what we're talking about doing?
Right, so for now, and I would not accept it for now, as is written. I would rather have, go to the DEP and ask for the changes. I'm afraid if we accept it now, there's no incentive to make any changes. And one of them is actually flat out wrong, where they own the system.
Can I ask another question? Have the 33 properties already been identified, or is this just, we know this is the, I mean, have we identified 33 properties that this, we haven't, have we?
No.
Okay.
What the intent here was to accept this and then kick it to the LUPREC to come back with
And figure out where to go with it.
recommendation and
Well,
how to.
If I can add in, there is an area in town where they have identified properties.
Agreed, there's
Yeah.
areas in
There-
town.
and-
There's areas in town. I've heard Southtown, I've heard Lake June Road, I've heard
No,
different.
this was like in town. They've identified the properties and the owners. I think, Jack, right, they had a list of who, the
My
properties.
understanding is they haven't, that LUPREC didn't come, these are the addresses we want to do. It was like, yep, we have different opportunities. And I have not heard, Rachel, right, have you heard these are the 33 homes except for, there's different possibilities. My only point was that should come from LUPREC. These are the 33 addresses that we would want to do at one point for
Okay,
approval.
Jack, check my memory. We were given a list of properties, which owners they are, how many had already paid in the availability fees, how many were owners, how many were rentals, correct?
So they looked at the ones downtown,
Right.
and it looked like about 17, but only 5 was really eligible because the rest of them was commercial properties. So we need to look at other areas, and that's why it's going back to LUPREC to get to identify 33 or more.
Okay.
So 33 was the minimum amount.
We're a little in the weeds, too. Houses that are pre-1970 have sand-bottom tanks for the most part. And I don't know that you could put a pump in a sand-bottom tank, which would,
Well, first
For
of
the
all,
step system.
the tank has to be in good condition. And then this also has a means where you can put the pump just outside the tank. And it takes the somewhat clarified water from the tank and pumps it.
I'm in the business.
Yeah.
I have a house. I would just soon have an E1 system and get rid of my whole tank. I never have to pump it out. I don't have sludge to deal with. I don't have a lid collapsing or a problem in the future. When I have a system in the ground, it's just a pump. That's all I have to worry about. I've lived in town, in my house, for over 15 years. We've had some serious hurricanes come through. And the longest time I was without power was around 9 or 10 days. And I have a lift pump right now at my place. I had a little generator. We hooked it up, and it worked fine. I had no problem with it. And the next longest time was 4 days, which was not an issue. The town, when we were talking this originally, had a solution for power outages and pumps. The step system's great. I don't want it at my house. And I don't know right now if there's a time to be discussing all this or not. We're kind of getting down the weeds a little bit, but it's not as simple as just putting a pump in a tank and making it work. So there's way more to it than that. And I understand what you're saying, and I don't mind making the adjustment. But right now, people own their own systems in the ground. I own my system, I own my lift pump. I have to maintain it, keep it up, and it costs a lot of money to do that. I have no problem owning my own pump. I almost feel like it's out of the government's reach to provide me and pay for a pump for something that I'm utilizing. It's not fair to the community for them to have to pay for a pump on my property for something I'm using. It should be my pump. I should maintain it. Yeah. It's just a different perspective on government freebies.
I understand, and if I recall, when this was passed, that same discussion, I think you were in that discussion maybe, but it passed that the town will own the pump. So,
And that's a different issue. But
Yeah.
the step system and the E1 pump they're all different issues, and it might not be as simple as just putting a step system in. And it's going to depend on how the houses are and what kind of tanks they have. There's so many factors that play into that it sounds simple, but it's not.
okay.
I think what she's trying to say is does the grant here give us the opportunity to have a step system or a grinder pump or maybe even a gravity system, depending?
Well,
Does it give us?
not gravity. All I'm
gravity.
asking is that there's an alternative that if a step system works or a grinder pump. I don't like the idea of just saying, this is it, a grinder pump, period.
Okay, so you're just hoping that it would give us flexibility?
Correct.
Well, I would guess then maybe the amendment to the motion would be that we instruct legal staff to return, that we accept the grant conditioned on the changes to the language that Ms. Eberhardt's outlined. And then if DEP says no, then legal comes back to us and says, DEP, I know it's not this simplistic, but they're saying take it or leave it. Then we have another conversation whether to take it or leave it, And I think this is something, Ms. Eberhardt, if you want to try this, on your two very exacting points, let's send it back and say we want to accept it, but we call your attention to these two things. We want that flexibility, and see if they say fine. I see Ms. Groves nodding like that seems to be something that legal could attempt to do. I hope that's what she's doing down there.
Yes, so I think the technical language we'd want to use here is under a 319H grant, which I do see that here in the application. Is there an allowance for the step system? And can we, based off of what we've submitted, have that in place? Because I do see that language about, a similar system is allowed. So we would want to say, based on a 319H grant, if you could authorize legal to go back to FDEP on that issue to address whether the step system can be put in place of the grinders.
And then the other issue was the ownership.
Oh, right, yes. So is that in the resolution?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in there. I have it underlined. I don't know what page it is.
It's the very last page.
Okay, and then dependent on the determination made on the first issue to authorize an updated resolution amending the language in section.
No, they would have to amend the grant that says on page 87 of the grant, it says the pump station ownership will transfer to the property owner.
It's 87 under budget narrative.
Oh, excuse me.
Page 87.
Here,
Okay.
This, at page 80, page 87 of the packet, and
Yeah.
page 2 of 5 on the grant of attachment 3.
Right.
Okay, I have attachment 3.
It's about in the middle of the page, budget narrative. It's the last sentence.
Yeah, I just had that up. Okay. But it is attachment 3 of the grant. Yes, okay.
I just think it's important that we get either this grant or a grant like this, because I've always said from the very beginning that we can have this wonderful, lovely system in place, and if none of our people can afford to hook up to it, then where are we? So I think this is just really an important grant to have if we can possibly get it to read the way it makes good sense and proper language for us.
I think the question I would ask to us, staff, is on this exhibit, am I reading the right one? Yeah. Are those words that we put in there when we applied for the grant, so they're just kind of throwing back at us?
No, that contract was provided by the state, so they gave us that contract. We did not create that.
So did you amend your motion?
I didn't make a motion.
Oh,
think we have a
okay.
motion.
We
don't
have a
have a
motion, but
motion.
it's not amended. Y'all can do whatever you want to with it. It doesn't matter to me. We need to not let this grant get away from us.
Exactly.
My perspective, Madam Mayor, is that I'm willing to give Ms. Eberhardt's idea a chance, but I will vote ultimately to accept the grant, however, whatever we need to do. But I don't want to say, well, we're going to turn down $500,000 and be able to put people on the system over that language, so.
Yeah, I agree. I would go for the grant, give this a chance.
Yep.
Or actually, the one is a correction.
So if we get a motion to that effect, I think what we can do is work with Kara, go back to DEP, and hopefully by the next meeting, we'll be able to bring back any update.
You have a motion already, right?
Yes, but it sounds like it's off the table now. We have a motion in a second, but.
No, it's not, no.
No.
It's not seconded?
Yeah,
Well, then-
Well, we either amend it or he
It's not
pulls
off
his
the
motion,
Yeah.
one or the other.
There is a motion and a second. There is a
That's- I
motion and a
thought there
second.
was, yes,
Yeah.
so-
It's still on the table.
I will make a motion to amend
We-
Mr.
we are-
Well, first, we have a motion and a second.
He has a motion and a second.
Oh, I thought
so-
we had a motion in a second.
Yeah,
But it was to accept the
it
grant
was
as
to
it is.
accept it. So
Right.
unless Councilmember Sapp amends his motion. he
Someone else can make a
withdraw.
motion to amend his motion though, right?
No.
That'd be a two-motion vote.
No. You have to have a vote on his motion if he doesn't amend his own motion.
You got to vote on the one that's
Let's
on.
do a quick vote on that then. Quick vote on my motion, and we can start over again.
On the original, on your original motion, you want to vote? Okay.
So any more comments on the original motion from the dais? Out to the audience? Bring it back. Eva, take the roll.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Not on the original motion, no.
Councilmember Royce?
No.
Mayor Charles?
No.
Motion failed.
Now we're clear.
Yeah.
So now you can amend.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion fails.
I will make a motion that we accept the grant contingent upon the two items as, I really wish Ms. Eberhardt would make this motion. Since I'm going to withdraw the motion. I'll let her make the motion since it's her deal.
I'll make a motion that we have legal review the two issues at hand with the DEP and return to us a decision whether we can change the ownership of the pumps and whether we can allow for an alternate technology.
Yes, and those two issues have been stated on the record, so as we've discussed here, so I think that's sufficient.
Can I ask a question before there's a second or not? My concern is, as I understand Ms. Eberhardt's motion, is that if DEP says yes, her motion didn't say accept the grant. It said, her motion said go talk to DEP. I would hope you would strengthen your motion, Ms. Eberhardt, to say if DEP says sure, that we can accept it under those terms without having additional.
Okay, all right, yes, that's good. And if the DEP agrees to those changes, I move then that we accept the grant.
Second.
Do you have that?
I do.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other comments from the dais?
Yes, I went through this years ago with this whole thought process, and I don't think the town should be in the pump management business for 2,500 residents of the town. I think we're setting ourselves up for a long-term pain. We're going to fall on utility, and they'll be able to take care of it. Homeowners should be responsible for their own pumps, their own waste, and I don't think the town should get in that part of it. We're already taking it off their property. They should get it to the street, just like I guess garbage cans fall in the same thing, roll it to the street, and the town does it from there. I guess it was made years ago, and I can't undo that, but I'm not comfortable with that, and it hurts me to think the town has to take care of that many pumps for that many people who should be responsible for their own waste. We're already dealing with it, processing it. I think it's a lot to ask of the town for that, and I think we're setting the town up for a burden, and that was my argument before, and there were so many arguments and yelling and screaming going on. I think everyone was just tired of dealing with it years ago, but we're here again, and I know we're stuck with this on paper, but we can always change it and get back away from it now. We just need to be thinking about what we're setting the town up to do in the future and future councils. Just want to put that out there.
My perception of the motion was that DEP will say, yes, either the town can own them or the public, the individual can own them. That language, I mean, we're not saying they're going to be publicly or privately owned, where you're going to clarify whether or not they can be publicly and/or privately owned. To your point, Mr. Sapp, we can make that determination later. I think what Ms. Eberhardt is saying is let's don't be in violation of our own rules that are currently in code. And so I think what we're going to ask legal to do is say, yes, they can either be publicly or privately owned and still be eligible for the grant. We can have your discussion, which I probably support at another day.
Right, at a later date, that can come up for discussion.
Any other comments from the dais? Out to the audience. Please state your name and address for the record.
Jack Comley, 607 Sunset Point Drive. Back in the late 1990s, when grinder pumps were kind of just coming into play in Florida, apparently, the Florida DEP commissioned a group to make recommendations on grinder pumps. One of their recommendations was that either the utility or the city should own the pumps. Now, I don't know whether that was ever, passed into law or not, but that was their recommendation back then. And the reason was because individuals, especially low-income individuals, are not going to be able to pay for the pump when it goes bad. These A1 grinder pumps last approximately 10 years, and they have to be replaced. So I was told originally when I talked to the people that are the sales representatives for A1 pumps, that they run about $6,000. Now we're hearing a price of, I don't know, $3,500 or something like that. But in either case, a lot of people in the city of Lake Placid are not going to be able to afford to replace those. So what's going to happen then? The other thing is, you talked about the hurricanes and the power outages. And I think, Mr. Sapp, you said the longest you were ever without power was about eight days or something like that. And since I've been here, I think about 4 days was the longest I've been out without power. A lot of people have portable generators for their houses, but from what I've seen, most of them are 110-volt generators. I know that's what mine is, right? And these A1 grinder pumps are 220-volt. So a lot of the people who think they have a generator and maybe could power that, during an outage, aren't going to be able to. Also, talking about the step system where you use a sewage pump rather than a sewage grinder pump, right? In Sebring, west of the hospital, the newer development out there, they've had this system putting grinder pumps, regular sewage pumps in their lift station, in their septic tanks. And can I have another minute?
Not a minute. We'll give you 15 seconds to wrap it up, please.
Okay. Those people there have had apparently no problem with it. They seem to be very satisfied with them from the people that I've talked to in the audience, in the office there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience?
Sharon Hudson. I think that this is just my opinion. I've been in the septic business for 28 years. You first of all have to know if those tanks that you're abandoning or holding and putting a grinder pump in is a solid bottom. That's number one. You've got to decide that. Secondly, I think that it's the responsibility of the homeowner for the simple fact that they would have to maintain it. they do not take care of things. They don't care how they use their system. You're going to spend your time replacing pumps that they are just deliberately destroying. That's going to run into money. If they're responsible for it, those pumps run, what, about $400 to do? I think about now, maybe $5 at the most. If they're responsible for that, they're going to maintain it and they're going to take care of it. The town cannot afford to maintain these pumps and keep replacing them and replacing them. That's just my opinion. So if they're responsible for it, they'll take care of it. Yes, ma'am?
It was put in the ordinance that if they abuse the system, then the town would stop paying for it.
But how are you going to know?
Yeah, that's subjective. I'd almost like to, if I can, we're
Greg?
getting long-winded here, but to your point about the town, gentleman sitting down, that they can't afford to put a pump in, they have to maintain their their septic system. And if the systems last usually 10 to 15 years, some go 20. The old systems used to go 50 with the rock, but people put in chamber systems now. They're cheaper and they don't last as long. Some last, if you get 15 years, you're lucky to last that long. Those systems are $7,000 to $10,000, depending on how big the house is right now. Less than a pump would be to maintain. I see it as a homeowner's responsibility. You're responsible for your septic system right now, and you should be responsible for your pump. And Sharon and I are in the same business. We think the same, and we've seen it. People don't take care of things that aren't theirs. They put junk down the system, and you have the same houses in the same county. You go to the same places to pump out, usually year after year after year, rental houses usually. I've seen the same thing. The town does not need to get into this business, and we're out way off track here,
Right.
but
Right. So, thank
makes
you.
my point. Thank you.
That's just my opinion.
Yep,
Thank
no,
you.
appreciate the comments. Anybody else from the audience? Bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. The last item on the agenda is the request for information responses for the future use of 151 Dal Hall Boulevard, sometimes referred to as the Dal Hall Boulevard and Bicentennial Park. As everybody recalls, we went out with an RFI over a month ago of what would the future use of that facility be. We received two responses back. One's from a nonprofit called 33852 Connect, and the other's from the Boys and Girls Club of Highlands County, who had previously come and expressed interest. We ended up taking the RFI. We took the contract from the Boys and Girls Club along with their proposal in the 33852. We did some analysis, and in your packet is a comparison with risks, exposure overview of the two proposals that came forward. And at this point we're going to need direction from council about which direction you want to go with the RFIs. Chief, anything additional you wanted to add to it?
Not yet.
So what we can do is, this chart in front of you is kind of the decision matrix that kind of consolidates it all. At this point, we do have a representative from 33852 Connect here, and we had a representative from Boys and Girls Club also. Janice, who's came previously, is out of the area and wasn't able to attend. And somebody did represent, but it looks like they might have left.
That was Bob Duncan.
Okay.
He's on the board also.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I didn't recognize him when I came in.
Okay.
He usually has a golf hat on, and I didn't, but anyway, that's who that was. But yeah, he couldn't stay that long, but.
So I guess to the council, any comments on the different proposals, any direction, and you want to give us as where we should go next. If you want, the one representative that's here for any questions or available for any questions. Unfortunately, the other isn't, but she previously had come to council and presented.
I can't agree to a 5-year contract. I recommend we list the property for sale and see what we get. And if 3352 Connect can utilize a property during the interim, if it takes 6 months or a year or 2 years, I think the property should be available to sell. We have more properties coming up. The police station will be coming up for sale before too long, possibly the fire station in a few more years. It's been going for a long time. The town is not in the business of holding properties. We need to get these off the rolls and not have to maintain them, take care of them.
Is your thinking the building and the park, or just the building?
No, only the building. We need to keep the
building.
park 100%, yes. The park is dear to me, and I think we need playgrounds, and it's a very good location for a playground there. The building itself, we need to sever and list, and not put another nickel into it.
I had a conversation with another board member, Cindy Bowser, who I know from the club, and she's, like I said, a board member. The thing that really jumped out at me with the Boys and Girls Club contract was Exhibit D, and there's 16 items on Exhibit D, and it's like, starts out, electricity, town will pay, water, town will pay, sewer, town pays, garbage, town pays, telephone, town pays, and that's only not number 5. We keep going all the way down to number 10 is town pays, and they're going to give us a lease agreement for $5. Well, her comeback with that was, but we're providing the service to the town for the education of our youth, and that's in essence, not her words, but in essence, that's what we would pay for having that opportunity for our youth. So in that context, it makes sense. However, I don't like the fact that we bought this building with town money, and then we're going to lease it for $5 a year, yes, for the youth of the town, but I keep going back to the idea that we have more people in the town than just the youth. And yes, we have to do something for the youth, but we also have to do something for the middle-aged folks and the senior demographic. And I don't think we would be doing a good service by tying that building up for just that use. Then her comeback was, well, this is essentially the same contract that they have with Avon Park, and they're in Avon Park. And they said Avon Park uses the building when they are not there. But it was my understanding, and when I met privately with what's her name, Janice, when I met privately with her as well, I asked her that specifically. She said, oh no, we could not use it. So for that reason, I'm just reticent about, I love the program, Boys and Girls Club I love, but I just think that really ties us up with that house and with that building, and I don't think it's fair to the town.
There was another note on there also about them restricting the use of playground on certain times, and that's probably when the other kids be using it when they're not in school. It doesn't make sense to tie that up.
Right,
And the summertime, because, that was my concern, and when we spoke with her, I said, we can't take town property, we're going to invest in playground equipment, and have it closed 7 to 7
That's
all
right.
during the summer.
Yeah, that was the other thing that was of great concern, that they were going to not allow general use of the park either. So if we had to take one or the other, I would go with the 33852 because we had more options. So, but it says that we're not going to make a decision tonight, and I don't think we should, but because we don't have representatives from both here, so.
But we can.
But I don't think we should.
No, we can.
So,
Because it says we weren't going to do it on the agenda.
so I know that this is not on for an action agenda item. I know that council also to some extent wants to move it forward. What I did not realize, this is in a CRA area, or no?
Yes.
It is, okay. Has this been brought through CRA and put in any development plan for allocation or anything? So I think I have a solution to this problem, but if it has not been put on a CRA plan, legal will need to look at that because there's another statute that deals with the disposition of CRA property. And it requires, to some extent, it may require actual bidding on this issue. So what I saw in this packet is we have a lease from the Boys and Girls Club, and we do not have a lease from Connect. So the motion, I think, that would meet legal sufficiency here is to direct staff, because we would need to do this anyway, to invite 33852 Connect to prepare and submit a proposed lease agreement, and consistent with the terms in their RFI response, for review by town attorney and future council consideration, and then extend that same invitation to the Boys and Girls Club to update or refine based on the objections raised here, and then town attorney has to bring this back as a properly noticed item under the potential CRA issue here. That would be my recommendation as of right now.
I apologize, Madam Mayor, but why does the CRA have a consideration?
So apparently when a property is in a CRA area, the CRA, there's a state statute that it regulates to some extent disposition, whether it's a lease or the sale of that property, and it may have to go and be a decision initially allocated under a CRA plan.
Even if the CRA did not have any investment in that public property?
Because it's in the area.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But we did have investment.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, take Ms. Groves' word, but I'll share my perspective. I am not at all interested in the lease proposed by the Boys and Girls Club. It is not a serious offer in my mind. And I'm sort of with Mr. Sapp in that I don't think long-term we should have ownership just to kind of break even on a building. But I think that we could do two things at one time. I would be interested in, given whatever we need to do legally, inviting 3852 Connect to offer a potential lease and getting into a one-year lease at the kind of terms they're suggesting, and at the same time, starting the process of discovery of figuring out what is the property worth, what are we going to do long-term, because I think if we said, let's move that property, it'd take us 6, 8, 9 months to start that process. Anyways, I think we can do two things at one time. We can see whether or not the folks with 3852 Connect are making a meaningful impact on the community, whether or not they're going to be interested in being a potential bidder on the property long-term. So I think we need to take whatever action we can to move forward with 3852 Connect and start the process of staff looking at what would the ramifications of a sale be, where would we utilize, where would we use the money that we got from the proceeds. I think we need to do both of those things simultaneously. Thank you.
Well, and if we allow, come to an agreement with 33852, and they come with a formidable lease that we can deal with and that CRA would approve, then we can, if it's a one-year lease, we can take a look at it and see if does this size of a facility and type of a facility fill a need for our town. Because, I mean, for some of the things that, I've talked to 33852 as well, and some of the things that they're thinking that this size of facility might host is like maybe a birthday party or a sewing meeting or a small meeting of some sort, my Rotary Club, something like that, and they're charging an hourly rate to rent the building. Well, a lot of those small meetings wouldn't fit in this unit, wouldn't fit anywhere up here. So it would be way out of scope for them to even think about that. So maybe we can see if this does fill a need in our community. And then we not only have a one-year exposure, but we have $300 a month coming in. And this, I appreciate what the Boys and Girls Club do, what their mission is and what they do for the community, but I don't think we can afford what they do.
And just to briefly address any timing concern from legal's perspective, so there is a piece of that statute that allows you to do temporary operations. So even if it's not fully in a CRA plan and they, not waiting until that next meeting, we can do things temporarily. So that'll be what we come with next time also on that issue.
And do we need to work on severing the property now, going ahead and drawing a line and determining where the split is, probably where it was originally? Is that something?
Between the playground and the building.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the simultaneous things we should be working on.
Listed as a single piece of property right now. It was unified a long time ago. Yeah.
Is it? Okay. Okay, yeah, that should be separate.
And actually, from my perspective, is some of the things that I always felt is we need a community service / recreation department, right? So when I see this, I'm like, oh, great, this is the best of all worlds. This is let somebody else do that community services to fill that void without us having town employees do it. So that's where, and I can already think of a lot of things. I mean, the 4th of July picnic, and actually Margaret Deere, the chief and myself, and Sherry Ann, we were the committee. So, and that was 3 weeks what we pulled together with volunteers and things. So I personally see a big need of having somebody partner with the town, with the community, with the chamber to do a lot of just what you're saying, the different age groups. I mean, even with the children, there's a lot of things that we can plan, and having somebody else lead that.
Yeah, with the whole community.
With the whole community.
I agree completely. And I think we found that in our walking tour. We need a community center of some sort, even though it's not run by the town. This would serve that purpose. And I'd say at least give them a year and see how it goes, and then think about selling the building.
So, Kara, how do we move forward? My concern is the next CRA meeting isn't until 2 months from now. So I think we all have an interest to get some community service activity going. 33852 can fill that need. So how do we try to move it forward, even temporarily with them, if that's what the council so
We can add a CRA meeting. We can
You can especially
do it at the next meeting.
But we aren't supposed to make a decision tonight. It's for discussion only tonight per the agenda.
But we can't until you look at the CRA situation, we can't really do much about it. So if we add a CRA meeting next month, we can discuss it then and
Right.
And
maybe
we could
come
do
to
that.
some more decisions.
Yeah, we could do that, yeah.
Okay, so I think the motion would be to authorize legal to clarify the notice requirements and the CRA issue, and to, at the same time, look at the sale and bifurcation of the property, and to look specifically at temporary operations, so that at this next meeting, which we are authorizing staff to specially set a CRA meeting at the next town council meeting, that the discussion of these issues and an action item will be placed on these issues. Legal will provide a memorandum on them, and 33852 Connect will provide a lease. That would be my comprehensive motion.
Both parties could present at that CRA meeting, right?
So it would, from legal's perspective, to offer both the opportunity would be better.
So I'll move what she said.
Okay.
Did you get all that, Eva? Seconds.
I got the gist.
And Kara, you're comfortable having the Boys and Girls Club revise what they've submitted in order to come to that? Is that what you had said earlier, to give them a chance to revise and address any of the questions? I just get back to bidding practices now, is that?
Yes, I think that they should be provided because council put the objections on the record why they disagree with it. We can have, and nobody's here from Boys Club, Girls Club. It would have been different, I think, if they were here. But since they are not, they can be invited to revamp it based on these objections and determine if that is something that they want to do or not.
And I would like to make sure that they know that that opportunity is available to them, because they somehow didn't know that this was happening tonight. So I don't want to just shut the door on them. I want them to be able to come back. They realize, I told Cindy what my objections were, and so I think they should have the opportunity to come back if they want to.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Any other comments from the dais? Seeing none, out to the audience. Does 33852, since you are here tonight, want to make any comments real quick? I'd hate to close this out, and she hasn't had a chance to even.
I mean, it's Margaret Deer from 33852 Connect, 1504 Fringe Street, for the record. Yeah, I'm a little befuddled. I put a lot of time and effort, so it's not like it was a closed bid or a sealed bid, but I mean, Boys and Girls Club's a tough nut to crack. But at any rate, it's the will of council. I was asked one of the things about where did I come up with the number $300. The average water bill for the town of Lake Placid for an area building like this is about $45. The average electricity bill for the museum is $265, and that building is a lot smaller than the museum, so it basically came up with $300, so it wouldn't cost the town anything. But I'm under no illusion. I know that it is the will of most of the council, and I absolutely support selling the building. I'm with you. The real estate does not need to be on the town rolls. But by the same token, the town invested $300,000. It's been sitting there. It has tens of thousands of dollars put into it, and not a dang soul has walked through that front door. And there are people ready to use it today. And that's all. But I appreciate the consideration. We're all good.
I think the CRA thing threw a kink in it. We might have gone a little differently, but we kind of have to wait 30 days now.
I get it. Awesome.
Okay, any other comments from the audience? Bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Motion passes. So I have a question, is the next CRA isn't until 2 months, but we can do a special one, or we can, is there any consideration that the next town meeting, is that too aggressive to put this as CRA topic prior to the next town meeting, since we're the CRA members?
That's up to legal, because she's got the biggest
Yeah,
part of
I
that.
just looked
I
at
can
her
get
and
it
she
done.
shook
Yeah,
her
I can
head.
do it. I know that you want to move this forward, so we'll get it done.
So you would want to have a meeting not with the council meeting, on a separate day at a separate time?
No, so for the August, 11th, 13th town council meeting is make the CRA meeting first on that same day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it'll be August 10th?
Is that what it,
And I'll
okay.
do a special,
August 10th.
publish a special meeting only for the topic that is going to be at
Okay.
hand.
Yeah,
Right.
and then we'll do it right first.
Yeah.
CRA special meeting on August 10th, followed by the regular town council meeting. Does that work for everybody? Kara for you and Eva for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good. 6 minutes to go, 30 minutes overdue, but here we go. So we finished everything for tonight. I think we'll just go around the room and start with Alan. Anything? Rachel? Eva?
Just a reminder that Thursday, July 30th is your first budget workshop.
Okay,
Just a reminder.
good.
Is there a budget meeting
Yes.
this Thursday here?
Yeah, I was going to
County
mention that.
budget meeting? Okay.
So
the
it's the
county one.
county's budget meeting for Lake Placid.
Right.
Is this Thursday here. I think it's 6 to 8, Eva? I'm pretty certain
think
it's
it
6
is.
to
I
8.
think it is.
So I was going to remind, so thank you for bringing that up. So that's the county's budget workshop for the Lake Placid portion of the budget. Chief?
Eva, that's August 3rd, right?
What's-
August 3rd.
Yeah, okay, you said July 3rd.
I'm sorry?
You said July 3rd. It's August.
July 30th.
30th, okay. I thought
July
you said July
30th is the
3rd.
first budget. No, July 30th is the first budget, August 6th and August 27th.
July
Yeah.
30th? Either 5:30 or 6.
No, it's 6. I think, no,
August 6th,
at what time? 5:30?
5:30.
All of them are
All
5:30.
three are on Thursdays.
5:30s on Thursdays.
make sure I get it in there. Thank you.
Yeah, the 30th of July, the 6th of August, and the 27th of August are the 3 budget meetings, if needed.
And they're all at 5:30?
All at 5:30 here. Perfect. Kara, anything? Thank you for
Nothing.
being here in
Yes,
person.
absolutely.
Chief? Councilwoman Eberhardt?
I was invited to the Habitat for Humanity Women Build, and Sherry Ann was graciously hosted at the Purple Iris. I was saying at the Women Build event, and Sherry Ann hosted at the Purple Iris with tea and finger sandwiches. But anyway, it's a group of women that get together and build homes, if you're not familiar with that. And there's a project in Masons Ridge and Sebring. It's mostly for single women. The women, they don't just get a house. They have to put, I think, 250 hours of sweat equity into it. Sherry, help me out. It's a mortgage, but it's 0% mortgage? Yes. And, but anyway, I have information if anybody's interested, and you don't have to know how to do anything. They will teach you how to change a toilet. They will teach you how to do whatever. So if anybody's interested, I have the information. There was also an article in the News Sun on the 17th, if anybody wants to check that out.
Thank you. Councilmember Sapp?
Nothing.
Councilwoman Hayes?
I will just add to Joyce's thing. I participated in a women's build when Sheriff Benton had one. And the only thing they'd let me use was the hammer. So,
And then they made a song after that.
How good of a builder I am.
But I'm told that there's a camaraderie built up with the crew, and also with the recipient of the home.
There
that
definitely
it goes on and on.
Yes, and they laughed at me a lot. Yes, I didn't always hit the nail with the hammer either. But at any rate, Culvers.
Dana's not here. Do you have any update on culverts? My understanding is culverts has cleared all their permits.
That was my
and
understanding,
now
too.
in their hands to time of their build.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know that people keep saying, oh, they pulled out, and it's like, those are false rumors.
Okay. And just a question, I seem to recall that we had a light on the flagpole on 27, on the big flagpole. Did we? Do we? And was it FDOT that killed it? Or do we have it now? Or is it us?
There should be 2 lights, one on each side of the road. It's a sport light right next to Dollar General, and I don't even know what's across the street anymore, a vacant lot. There should be 2 operational. If they're not lit, then I can contact Duke Energy.
Okay, so I really didn't hear what he said.
He said there should be 2. If they're not operational, let them know. And I think all of us, as we go home in the dark tonight, will be looking at that flag.
Okay. Well, I'll be going in the dark on Wednesday morning to Rotary, so
Okay.
I'll check it on Wednesday morning in the dark.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, that's important. Whenever we see something, say something, because, you know, lots of times we don't know
Well, somebody
until we
brought it
get
to
that
my
feedback.
attention.
Thank you. Councilmember Royce?
Madam Mayor, I already let the mayor know that I'm going to be flying back into the country on August the 17th and will not make our August the 17th meeting. So if anyone else is going to miss, please let the mayor know so there's quorum issues. I am going to tomorrow, hopefully, send Eva a calendar invite to share with you all and to make available to the public. On August the 5th at 10:30 in Wauchula, the Central Florida Regional Planning Council is going to have a program about data centers, and they are bringing in experts from several different perspectives to talk about the pros, the cons, the issues related to them. And I just think it's a good idea for whoever can make that to go. We don't have a specific application now, but certainly in our county, in our area, an application may very well come before us. So I think we all need to educate ourselves to the best, fullest extent possible on how that's done. So if you get a calendar invite coming from Jennifer Cota Salisbury for August the 5th at 10:30 in Wauchula, it's part of their Heartland 2060 program. But I think she's bringing in some pretty good folks to speak on both sides of the issue. She just wanted you all to be aware.
Do you know, by chance, is it going to be live streamed?
I do not know the answer to that. I think she asked if it was going to be live streamed or available. I don't know. I will ask Jennifer if it's going to be recorded, so if someone wants to see it. They had already had some meetings set up in Wauchula, and that's why it's in Wauchula, and it's not my meeting. I have nothing to do with putting together. We had just talked with her about doing such a thing, and she said, oh, by the way, we already got one going. So I think, she has some folks coming down from the University of Florida. I know there's members of the audience that have some expertise in this and are interested in this. So I just think it'll be a great educational opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, it's 8:01. I declare this meeting adjourned.